Me when the person in front of me at the supermarket checkout takes 45 seconds checking their change and then carefully putting their purse back in their handbag before getting out of my way. The teenager in Subway making my foot long.
Where you can take a slice of sourdough, some butter, anchovies, shallots, a little parsley on top. Bang, the perfect sandwich. It takes you somewhere you've never been before.
And this is me when someone texts me to say Carlsberg Special Brew is on special offer in Tesco. Hello folks, welcome back to the Carousel of Smell. Really, when I say a fun episode that I'm looking forward to and excited to do, I actually mean it today because we've got a great classic fragrance very rarely talked about on the YouTubes. Before we do that, don't forget, my recommended USA-based fragrance sampling site is decantboutique.com. Go there and use my code MrSmelly10 and you get 10% off an amazing array of designer and niche fragrances. My recommended UK-based fragrance sampling site is fragrancesamplesuk.com. Go there, sign up and you'll get 10% off your first order. Both sites have a huge array of scents for you to try and they're linked in the description of this video. Okay, so the fragrance of the day is this one, Mandom. Mandom, an amazing legendary Japanese fragrance. It was famously advertised by film legend Charles Bronson. So we're hoping it's going to be pretty manly. I just got it today. Let's tell you a little bit about the history of this rather formidable masculine scent. It was back in 1970 that the Tancho Corporation launched the Mandom brand. This actually, the word means some kind of combination in Japanese of human and freedom, which is a good concept that I'm sure we're all in favour of. Well, maybe. Not so much these days. A lot of people aren't anymore. Anyway, 10 products for men were launched, and this is the most enduring favourite that we're all familiar with. The actual, well, we're not actually. That's the whole point of this video, to make you familiar with it. And it's the aftershave splash. I got it for £22 for 120ml. Back to the history though. It was launched then back in 1970. Quickly it became the number one men's perfumes and cosmetic brand in Japan, largely due, or perhaps entirely due, to the rather cheesy and wonderful adverts featuring Charles Bronson. Let's have a look at a bit of one.
Loves a lover, all the girls in every land are meant to know the joy of loving is to live in the world of Mandom. There's someone who's waiting for you, soon the world turn to day, darkness disappears when the one you love is near. You're in Mandom.
You've got to love it. Okay, now it was so successful that by 1971, the Tancho Corporation had simply renamed themselves the Mandom Corporation. And we need a bit more Mandom in this world, don't we? Okay, they used the Western actor. I mean, Charles, he was Western too, because he wasn't from Japan. But I mean, he was in spaghetti Western type movies. That's what he was mainly famous for at that time.
You need stepping on, Breed.
Back off, lawman.
I'm gonna bleed you, boy.
He'd been in, I think, some films along with Clint Eastwood, plus on his own. Very interesting actor, very muscular, great physique, and an interesting look about him. I think he has some sort of Lithuanian Tatar origins or something like that. Interesting chap. Anyway, he later became very famous for his role in the Death Wish films.
You believe in Jesus?
Yes, I do.
Well, you're going to meet him.
Directed by the famous English director Michael Winner. Very controversial films those were at the time. They told the story of an architect whose family were the victims of some rather horrific crimes, and he basically went out and cleaned up the streets. That was that kind of thing. So it was criticised at the time, both for the violence and perhaps, I think actually some people even said things like that it had a quasi-fascistic undertone. So rather right-wing type of movie. I actually watched a couple of them the other week. I enjoyed them, I've got to be honest. Okay, the ads feature him then, the famous cheesy ads with the great song. Oh yeah, it says it on the note. Words of the song are on here. All the world loves a lover. All the world loves Mandom. Man, oh man, that's Mandom. I mean, you've got to like that, haven't you? The ads feature him drinking, boozing, undressing himself, smoking a pipe, dousing himself in cologne, going fishing with his bare hands, chopping wood with an axe, and jumping from a horse into a helicopter, amongst other things. All things that were part of the average man's daily routine back in the 1970s, and perhaps ought to be again, quite frankly. One thing I must mention today, at NaughtonandWilson.com, we now have discovery sets available for you. You'll get 5 mils of each of our currently available fragrances. If you're in the USA or UK, it's the same website. If you order in the USA, it ships from within the US. If you order in the UK, it ships from within the UK. If you're in Europe, we can also send them to you there. You just need to email us and I'll personally answer it and take care of you. So email info@NaughtonandWilson.com to get your discovery set. A great way to explore our range for a very accessible price. And anyone who orders the discovery set gets their own personal code for 15% off any future full bottle order. If you did happen to want to go ahead and order 2 or more bottles, those will get you a 20% discount automatically on the site. And there are certain 3 fragrance curated gift sets that offer even better than 20% off. So check those out at NaughtonandWilson.com. We've had great feedback and a response so far to that discovery set. So if you've been itching to try our fragrances, but you didn't want to just go for one particular bottle or whatever, this is your chance. There's no longer any reason not to. Let's talk about the smell. I would, to summarize very briefly the smell, I would say this is something like a light, fresh, spicy fragrance, not a million miles removed from things like Aramis by Aramis. There was one I talked about recently called Brutal Classic Intense, a Polish cologne, and maybe Denim aftershave, but more citrusy than those, a little bit less leathery and rugged, but having something of the same aura, okay? Officially, notes that I've looked up in various places, which I wouldn't take too literally, we've got things like citrus, bergamot, clary sage, sandalwood, oak moss, powdery notes, musk, depending who you ask, Basically, what you've got is a very nice, classic smelling, fresh, soapy, citrusy, slightly spicy, and maybe I would say a little tiny bit leathery in its undertone, masculine, classic smelling aftershave. Does it smell a bit cheap? Maybe. Yeah, it doesn't smell. You're not going to think maybe that's a niche, amazing fragrance from Roger Parfums or Clive Christian. I don't think you're going to think that. Does it mean it's actually objectively worse or less enjoyable to wear? Not necessarily. It's a really nice, more citrusy and fresh cousin to those aforementioned ones, and it has this, I really like the opening and the sharpness in the opening. It comes in a little thing like that. You've got a rather, I like the way the lid works, sort of a bit unique, and it has that cheap sort of plasticky dispenser. I actually decanted a bunch into one of these snazzy sprayers that you actually can get from the Fragrance Decant Boutique, decantboutique.com. And so I used a little funnel to do that. And that allows me to spray with, would if I knew how to use it. Reckless Abandon. It's lovely. Oh, it's just that real bright, fresh. I tell you what, yeah, I can get how there's a kind of grapefruit rind type thing, and a pithiness, they call it, don't they? A really sharp, almost grapefruit-esque accord in the very opening, and then this fresh, citrusy, soapy thing with that sort of undertone of mild, rugged spiciness and leatheriness, but never in a sort of off-putting, animalic type way. Perhaps because I think in Japan, apparently the culture there, and perhaps was back then too, is that they don't like overly strong fragrances. It sort of looked as rather bad manners. So this one has that nice fresh out of the shower feel. Probably not going to dominate a room, but actually I have worn it for a large part of today. I find that it's lasted quite nicely and effectively and appropriately as a nice pleasant skin scent. I think for £22, including the shipping from Japan, 120ml, I think I waited about 2 weeks, which is fair enough. It came, no issues, no customs fee for me, and it was wrapped safely, no box, so don't mess around with that that kind of nonsense. I think really good and fun. Even if you're not going to be blown away by the smell, or you already have Aramis or denim and it's a little bit similar, but you might not desperately need it for the aroma itself. But if you like these kind of things, if you want to have that one alongside Pinard Clubman and maybe Brut and Old Spice and stuff somewhere in your bathroom or stuff, I think it would look really fun. It's a nice thing to own and have. And I genuinely, I'll be taking this out with me. I think myself and Lorraine might go to the pub for the first time in ages this weekend. We've been hibernating in the winter. I'm going to take this out and just spray it and wear it. It's enjoyable. And I think a lady who maybe enjoys the maturing delights of an English gentleman in her life, or whatever country you're in, a gentleman over 40 or 35 or 45, 50, ladies of a similar age around you might actually think, you know what, that's a little bit of a blast from the past. I like that. And it's not as risque maybe as a chorus or anything like that. Fresh, citrusy, soapy, fun, affordable. Yes, I highly recommend Mandom by the Mandom Corporation. Hiya! Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. We'll see you next time. Remember, whatever we're doing in life, let's project. And although sometimes life may stink, we can always smell good, right? I'll leave the link, by the way, guys, to some other Mandom. No, I won't, because it's too much trouble. If you just type Mandom ads in YouTube, no one ever clicks those links in the description. Just type Mandom ads in YouTube and you can have a look at the ads, okay?